nonstop Vikings talk. It's Purple Daily on Score North and ScoreNorth.com. Purple Daily, presented by Surly Brewing Company.
Football.
Purple Daily, comments from YouTube, the Monday edition, where Declan Goff and I, yours truly, Judd Zolgad, go through your comments about the Vikings, about our thoughts on the Vikings, what you agree with, disagree with, whatever it is. Obviously sponsored by our friends at Surly Brewing Company, who bring you all of the fine Purple Daily coverage that we have, and TCL TV. Enjoy more with TCL. So, without further ado, Declan Goff, the floor is yours to go through the comments.
Comments from YouTube every Monday, every Saturday, right here on Purple Daily YouTube channel and wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, the Score North app is a central hub for everything we do, including Zolgad's Roundup. He still giddies up the Roundup.
I got to giddy up the Roundup either today or tomorrow. I can't decide. Okay. But I will tell you this, just a teaser. Accessed Vikings OTAs on Tuesday. So I would look for a juicy roundup. Juicy roundup after that.
Yesterday I was cleaning up, packing up the apartment right now, and I found a good pair of binoculars. And I've been looking for these binoculars for years, and I finally found them in a bin, buried in God knows where. Do you bring out binoculars for the training camp? Because I know you're usually a binoculars guy in the press box.
Yep. No, I don't ordinarily. I did when I covered the team for the Star Tribune. There was a time in Mankato because they would practice on that far field that I had small ones. I now just have the big ones, the field glasses, which I really like. Field glasses, but I don't want to be carrying those around.
Yeah, those are big.
But if I had small ones, the problem with the small ones is they obviously aren't as powerful. They don't give you as much.
Yeah. All right, comments from YouTube. Judd, I'm going to continue a theme, actually, from Vikings Event Line from the Sunday's episode, where I talked with Robert and Grant, and I talked breakout candidates. And now some people in the comment section now giving their 2 cents. Sure. And you and I talked about this also on Friday. You mentioned Dalvin Cook, I believe. I took KJ Osborne.
That's right.
Pablo has 2 candidates here for us.
Okay.
First, I'd like to see Wyatt Davis should be a breakout candidate. Had some issues last year. I don't think Zimmer gave him a fair shot. 2-time All-American. He's got his pedigree. Second is Jalen Twyman. Twyman, who was shot 4 times in the offseason and had basically his entire rookie season wiped, is now back and healthy and cleared of all that stuff, too. Yep. Those are 2, I think, 2 under-the-radar ones that probably could pop up, right, and have that, maybe not breakout year because they obviously weren't really active last season, but kind of the guys we forget about. Like we always talk about, hey, is Mir Smith-Marsette's on the cusp or KJ Osborne's on the cusp? Right. What do you think about Wyatt Davis or Jalen Twyman also maybe making an impact this year?
I guess I don't even know if either one is going to make the team. Like I think that they will, but who knows? So I guess I think of them more as I have no clue. Like I guess when we talk about breakout candidates, I'm thinking about more of guys that we have seen play and we think there's more there. Like Cook. I mean, Cook's a marvelous player, but I watch Cook and I think to myself, boy, he's never truly been used like an Alvin Kamara is, right?
Sure.
Or in your case, where you're talking about KJ Osborne, drafted as a kick returner, wasn't good in that role, got a chance at receiver, proved to be pretty good, but certainly wasn't used to his maximum. So I like what he's saying as far as the candidates go, and I totally get it. I guess it's not how I think of breakout candidates because I'm just curious if there's there with those 2 guys.
Well, let's maybe put a gun to the head here and say if there's one of these 2 guys that could break out, because I think Twyman's interesting here, Judd, because Twyman missed his junior season because of COVID at Pitt, but in 2019 was first team all ACC, had 10.5 sacks, 12 for a loss. I just think I look at Twyman as him being a defensive lineman and probably has a chance to actually get more reps than Davis, who clearly is behind the 8 ball, right? Like Davis is going to have to earn it and show something to even get back up with the ones, right? Because like he's getting.
He's never been close to the ones, and he's still not.
And I think Twyman.
Ed Ingram's not.
Twyman might be someone, and we saw this with James Lynch a little bit the last 2 years. You can kind of rotate Armin Watts to a degree. You can kind of rotate these defensive tackles in. So I guess if I had to make a decision on which one maybe does have a better chance of, number one, to your point, making the roster and maybe even making an impact when he's on the field, I guess give me the defensive lineman since he probably has a more realistic path of getting on the field and making an impact.
That's fair.
Very
Absolutely.
interesting one. I will bring up this comment from Robert from the Vent Line episode. So I don't know if you saw it. That was posted on Sunday, but he actually had Greg Joseph as a breakout candidate for the Vikings. And it was more of speaking to the existence that can we get over our kicker phobia? Can we get over our kicker woes? that have plagued this team for basically the last 30 years outside of Ryan Longwell. What do you think? Are they doing the right thing bringing? I know they're bringing in what's his name from Georgia. They're giving Greg Joseph some competition at kicker.
Oklahoma, I believe.
Yeah, the Oklahoma kid. I'll look him up here in just a sec. But
camp leg, though. He's a camp leg as far as I'm concerned.
Do you think Greg Joseph is settled in here and doesn't have, nasty Mike Zimmer behind him?
Well, I think the fact that he is going to have a coach now who doesn't abhor his existence as a kicker is going to help.
Greg Burkick.
Yeah. So he, I think, is a camp leg, which is fine. And if he can kick really well, that's awesome too. But yeah, I mean, I think it has to help because it was so clear that Zimmer couldn't stand kickers. Like that was just abundantly clear. He didn't know what to make of them. He didn't like the fact that he could work so hard as a football guy, meat and potatoes. My defense gives all of this, and then a kicker misses a kick, and it costs us the game. So I think O'Connell's far more patient style and far more accepting style is going to work. But, kickers are weird, man. Kickers can be very good for a year and lose it. And that's why what made Longwell so special was, for the most part, and he had some rough stretches too, but for the most part, he had it figured out. Like he had it figured out. Most of these guys don't. They're probably more like golfers.
Relief pitchers, kind of,
Yeah, exactly. It comes and goes. But yeah, I do think it helps that starting on day one of camp, the coach does not hate the fact that you're a kicker.
That helps. Mike says, I hope to see a lot of Kene Nwangwu spreading out of the pass formations and imagine what he can do in open space. Yes, I think he's someone, too, that will be utilized.
They'll package of plays. I don't want to see him running up the A-gap. I don't want to see him trying to hit the hole. Yes, give him a package of plays. That, to me, is the most important.
Ooh, a little piece of reckless speculation here from Robbie.
I'm already a Robbie fan. Already a Robbie fan.
Free agent questions. Who would you rather see the Vikings sign? JC Tretter, Jarvis Landry, or Julio Jones? In a world where price tag is the same or similar for an established aging veteran player, which one of those three, JC Tretter, Jarvis Landry, or Julio Jones, in a perfect world without a price tag, would you like to see the Vikings sign?
Didn't Jarvis Landry sign with the Saints? I think he's gone.
Look that up.
I would prefer...
Yes, he's with the Saints.
He signed with the Saints. I would prefer they signed, drum roll please, JC Tretter. Jones is well past his prime, in my opinion. I think you can find receivers. Okay? Jefferson's really good. And look, I wanted them to draft one because if you deem one to be a first-round pick, that's a special one. But Jones is long in the tooth now. Like, in his prime, he was unbelievable. I would prefer, if you're going to tell me that I have a choice of two veteran players to add to a team that's currently trying to win, agree or not, they are, I will take the veteran center who's going to help stabilize things for the veteran quarterback. You?
I get that. I'm always intrigued by someone like Julio Jones, like you said.
You're going big name hunting. That's what you're doing.
I float this idea to you, like, going into the COVID season when you and I were doing Ventline on the radio side? I think I even said Julio Jones as a potential guy.
Yes,
there.
you did. For sure you did.
Or was A.J. Brown or someone of that nature.
I think you said Julio Jones.
And yeah, I'm fascinated by adding another weapon to it. But at the same time, and this is probably still going to happen, not of Julio Jones's caliber, but they've brought in the Kendall Wrights, they have brought in Aldrick Robinsons, they brought in D.D. Westbrook last year.
Yeah, slappies
that we it gets us a little bubblegum, little sugar high. It's like, wide receiver.
Yep. I've heard of him.
Guy. Yeah, remember that?
D.D. Westbrook. I've heard of D.D. Westbrook.
Now, obviously, Julio Jones, clearly a different player, but at the same time, past his prime. No longer the first team All-Pro.
And Trotter is too, but I like the stability. I think you have a better chance of milking a year out of Trotter than Jones, if that makes sense. And plus, you've got guys, like, I like going young there and bringing in really good prospects.
Sure.
But, look, flat out, for a team that's trying to win now, I don't understand how Garrett Bradbury is going to be starting. I don't. I totally don't get that. I think you are asking for trouble. I like a lot of your offensive components, but I think thinking that, oh man, the guard play might be improved, so that's going to save Garrett Bradbury. I mean, we've seen Garrett Bradbury. How much more do we know? Like, what is the coaching staff going to do to Garrett Bradbury that's going to take him up a notch? Like, even Cousins, I might disagree with you, but you can make a compelling case that KOC's existence is going to help him. Bradbury's just not big enough. It's not that he's it's not that he wants to fail. So
yeah, the whole scheme thing's really weird. Well, I'll tell you who doesn't fail, and that's my friends at Aquaside. And if you own a pond or a lake home, why don't you give a call to my friends at Aquaside, and they'll help you remove and maintain that nice lake shore for over 60 years. They'll get rid of those weeds. They'll get rid of those algae. Don't let weeds and algae overtake your lake or pond this summer. You can call them, or you can go to aquaside.com. They've been killing lake weeds for over 60 years. They're registered with the EPA and the DNR, so they're safe products, and it's do-it-yourself products. These are very simple products to use. It's not like you have to get some guy out there and you have to drive up to the cabin and have them wait out there.
That's a pain.
You bring the products to your own lake home. They give you detailed instructions. You can do it yourself, DIY. Even Judd, I think, could do it. That's how easy it is. And Judd...
Well, I'd bring you up, my sports son, to do it, but you could do it for me, and then I'd allow you to stay in my cottage.
They're located in White Bear Lake. Check them out at aquaside.com. Judd, how have you been losing all this weight?
Yeah, this allows me the opportunity to talk about my friends at Livia Weight Control Centers. And the Aquaside ad is perfect because if you have a lake, that means that you want to be on the dock, right? Mm-hmm. On the pontoon. Yep. Well, how would you like to be in great shape? How would you like to be back to a weight where you put on those swim trunks or heck, the bikini, and you're looking good. And you're looking good. Why? Because you've dropped weight. I dropped 40 pounds since last year. That's right, down 40 pounds, and I'm maintaining it now. And I want to tell you about the new Simple Start plan for only $59 as summer approaches. $59. Receive one-on-one personalized and guided support online or in person from the team of experts. And so, yes, if you are not in town, it doesn't matter. If you are a Purple Daily fan in Florida, Arizona, Tennessee, Los Angeles, guess what? We've got clients in all of those towns. Now you're asking me, Judd, okay, this sounds fantastic. I want to drop the weight. How do I do it? 855-GO-LIVEA, Livia.com, Livia, LIVEA.com. Call today, get started. And again, in town or not, you can get the food. It's as simple as can be. And the best part, you can then go into the part of the program I am right now, the maintenance part, where you get to keep the weight off, because that's a challenge too. Livia.com, 855-GO-LIVIA.
Bingo. David says, I wonder if the Vikings kind of lacked vocal leaders on the field these past few years. We've had many talented players who are great people, but rather are reserved vocally. Just a thought. Joe, what is your thoughts on the Vikings lacking vocal leaders? I will say, I don't think it's that they've lacked vocal leaders. I think their leadership at times has not been, what's the word I'm looking for here? It hasn't been conveyed in the way that's positive throughout the entire locker room. They've kind of alienated some of their own players by the way their actions were. Whatever your thoughts are on vaccines or not, that still made a divide into the locker room. They were one of the most least vaccinated teams in the NFL last year.
Because the message gets convoluted.
Even getting away from the vaccine, Stephon Diggs' fiasco from a few years ago, that just had nothing to do with health or anything. It just had to do with him wanting the football.
Yep.
What do you think of David's point here that they've kind of lacked some vocal leaders the past few seasons?
I think it's a little bit confusing is the wrong word. I'll back up. I think it's a little bit unclear, but here's what I think. And again, just like in our discussion about the Twins clubhouse, keep in mind, the media had for basically 2 years, zero access. Okay. So and locker room access does not give you the keys to know all, but it gives you a feel, right, Dex? Like you've gone in post game, you can sense when it's tense or when it's like when guys are galvanized, like you can get a sense there just from a human factor. So for 2 years, because of COVID, that was gone. I know flat out from people I've talked to that especially last year, and this will come as a surprise to no one, Mike lost the room. Okay. So there was a time, just to be clear here, there was a time when Zimmer was, I think, respected, and he might not have been loved, but he was respected.
Sure.
And I think he was liked. I mean, I think it worked. It was not always perfect, but I don't think he lost it. I think it's safe to say for sure in 21, I don't know about 20 because I did not ask about 20. He lost the room. Now, that being said, you just said something that intrigues me too, which is, okay, so if the coach started to lose the room, did other people step up? I will always, I will always go back to the fact that Eric Kendricks, the day that Mike was fired, talked about the culture of fear-based culture. Okay, that really underwhelms me because, dude, you're a veteran. If it was that bad, you can't be like, well, let's all keep it quiet. Oh, now he's fired. Oh, now I'll tell you the truth. I don't really respect that. If it's really bad, you got to address it. And so I think that between the fact that I don't know that they had the right people in charge. I don't know that they had the right players, which is why I said I was on board with starting to clean out more veterans than they did, Declan. The fact that your quarterback and a bunch of players weren't vaxxed certainly does not help. I think the bigger thing is the quarterback doesn't lead. Like, I think that's the bigger thing. I think if the quarterback was unvaxxed, but people liked him and were drawn to him, that would be different. But yeah, this is why, like, that's a great question. I love that question because it gets at the heart of what I said, which is, I don't think this was all a Mike thing.
No.
I think Mike was an issue. I think the team had become stale, no question about it. But I just said the team had become stale. It's no one person, right, Declan? No one thing. And so I'm sorry, but if I am doing a roster, and I don't care how much the guy's liked, but one of the guys who is seen as a captain, basically, as the coach walks out the door, craps on that coach. Not a huge fan of that.
Yeah.
Because you were a leader, dude. You could have done something about that. Well, but what would Mike have done? Well, at that point, who cares? And supposedly behind the scenes, he did a bit. But I think that there were fractures in that locker room last year that go beyond just saying it was all Mike's fault. So
Agreed.
That's a great observation, though.
Digital Plains Media on our YouTube comment section says, is it fair to say the Vikings had a bottom 5 offensive coaching staff last season?
It's fair to say that my friends at Surly Brewing have a top 5 beer. In fact, you know what? Let's rank them right now. Furious 1.
Okay.
Who's 2 for you? Giraffe 2nd.
You know, I'll take the Supreme. I'll take my Supreme.
Okay.
I almost got cute, but I'm going to take my Supreme.
Okay, with the 3rd pick, I'm going Coffee Bender.
Okay, 4th pick. I'm gonna stick with the hits here. I'm gonna stick with the hell. I'm gonna give me the hell.
That's a good pick too. Darn it, because I was going to take that 5th. You know what?
Let's do 6 so I can get my
okay.
3rd one into.
I'm going to go
with the 5th pick.
I'm going to go with the 5th pick. Zolgad takes First Avenue.
Oh, the First Avenue. Okay.
The First Avenue, sneaky good.
I'll give you one better on the 6th pick because this is a very gadget player because you can only get it at the tap room. So you have to go to Surly Tap Room to get this beer.
Oh, I like what you're doing.
The Warp Zone. You can only get the Warp Zone at the Surly Tap Room. It's my favorite one in the tap room. It's a tap room exclusive.
Describe it to me a little bit.
I don't like sour beers, so I
agree with that.
I try to stick away from sour.
I agree with you.
But this has just that tiny little bit of hit of sour that I think really hits you pretty good.
Yep.
With still giving you a hoppy and a nice little beer taste. A Warp Zone. And it's light, too. It's lighter. So it's only I think it's under 5%.
Oh, that's a good
Let's
beer.
go get one after this.
So that's top 6. That's 6 picks.
That's 6
picks right there. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to tell you right now, when it comes to my friends, and Declan's friends too, clearly, at Surly Brewing, those are only 6 of the delicious beers. You can find them, as Dex just said, at the Surly Tap Room, your liquor store, or the fine bars around this town. You know what, though? Just like with a TCL, if you're sipping a Surly, you're doing it right.
Dang right. Very nice. All right. A few more comments here, mostly on the coaching staff. Thomas says, I think you underestimate KOC and Cam. Don't you think they know that they will experience losses, disappointment, etc.? I believe, like free agency and the draft, they have a plan. Whether this season is good or bad, I believe the future is bright for this team. So he's saying, don't necessarily look at 2022 here if it's a underwhelming season. Let's call it, 6-11 or 7-10, which we don't like, but there's part of an ethos, there's part of a plan here that these two dudes have in common, and 2022 is just step 1 of that plan.
I get that point completely, and again, to go back to what I've been saying for like a month now, I am eager to see this. Just because what I would have done, and I think our show as a whole agrees that we probably would have done things differently, does not mean that I think that they don't have a plan. I would have just expedited that plan because I do think that there is a real chance for disappointment. But now that we're down the path, you know what? Let's enjoy it. Like let's watch. It might work. Who knows? I guess I've sort of shifted as well, Declan. I'm not sure about you. I've shifted my view of this entire thing to one thing, and that is the relationship between the coach and Kirk. Like, this is going to tell us. Like, this year is going to tell us everything.
Yep.
And for all the Kirk stands who are like, you guys don't appreciate him, he's great, blah, 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 we're going to find out. We're going to find out. And the one thing I think we can all agree on is there is going to be a tremendous amount of pressure on this offense to be ultimately really damn good. Now, that's going to take a lot. I mean, you got a first-year head coach who didn't call plays in Los Angeles, calling plays. You got a quarterback who I've got questions about. But you are now going to be swimming, if you're the Vikings offensively, in the deep end of the pool. So let's find out.
A couple Judd comments here before we wrap.
Of course.
Ty says, Judd is a covert narcissist, plain and simple, who is more invested in not being wrong than being a real fan reading the tea leaves.
Covert, I think, is the word you're looking for.
Covert, yes.
Covert, yeah. I'm not, I mean, I probably fall outside the scope of like a real fan.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, I've covered teams for a long time. I look at things differently.
I don't think you're a narcissist.
Yeah, like what would make me, is he saying because I don't want to be wrong?
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm wrong a lot.
You are wrong a lot. We have accountability sessions.
Our whole show is wrong a lot.
Yeah.
I get his point. I just don't know if I'm a sports narcissist.
Yeah. Yeah, the definition of a narcissist is a mental condition in which people have inflated senses of their own importance, a deep need for excessive attention and admiration, not you.
Yeah, I don't want attention.
Troubled relationships, no, not necessarily, and a lack of empathy for others. Well,
hey, sports-wise, I think I have a lot, I disagree with that. I mean, I'm the same guy who is calling from the mountaintop, send Jose Miranda back to St. Paul because it hurts my heart to see him failing like this. I mean, I think that I'm the opposite. I think I think the amount of empathy and passion that I put forth every day as sports dad, because my heart bleeds for lack of success.
It does. And one Burn Man says with a very obvious comment here, I'm sure Judd is a very nice man, but he seems horrible with names.
Oh, God.
Very accurate.
Well, one, I don't know I'm a very nice man. I think I'm a decent guy, not very nice. I'm awful with names. I can't remember anybody's name.
Mm-mm. Remember Tom and Brian downstairs. Tom and Brian. Remember them? The cafeteria guys.
Yeah, Brian is which one again?
Brian is the taller guy.
Okay, because
Tom's a shorter guy.
So I talked to Tom today.
Okay.
Tom's very nice.
Tom and Brian are nice cafeteria
guys. But I
always
give him the, how's it going?
Hello.
No, I give him a, how's it going? What's up?
What's up? What's up? That's a great Zolgad one.
I give him the what's up.
Yeah, you do love the what's up.
So it's Tom. I'll remember to call him Tom next time.
All right, that does it for comments from YouTube.
All right.
Judd's going to OTAs tomorrow.
Yep.
We'll have plenty of observations later on this week. Write that down coming up later this week.
Amen.
Accountability session. Plenty of things to talk about. Purple Daily. Rate, like, subscribe. We'll be talking to you guys soon.